Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Ronnie Moas here, founder and director of research at Standpoint Research. He's going to be our guest today. Ronnie, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, so before we get right into the stocks and everything, it seems like you're doing a little bit of traveling here and working on some philanthropy.
Yes, I'm getting ready for a trip around the world in the next few weeks. I'll be going from Miami to Los Angeles, and then from there I go to Alaska, Japan, South Korea, Mongolia, Israel, Greece, and France. So it's a 30,000-mile trip. It'll be 60 hours in the air. Four of the flights are 8, 9 hours in length each, and I'm really excited. It's
And what
actually
kind of philanthropy?
literally it's a trip around the globe. I was originally going to go over the top through Siberia and Ukraine, but then the war broke out there. So then I rerouted, and I was going to go through India, but it took 6 months for them to approve a visa, and I got tired waiting, and I just took the passport back and decided to just go through Israel and Greece instead. When I go from Mongolia to France, I decided to go through Israel and Greece instead.
And what kind of philanthropic efforts you're going to be working on?
Well, I've been working for the last 6 months around the clock on my new website. It'll be finished in 2 weeks. It already looks quite amazing. It's philanthropy and philosophy.com. Um, a lot of, because I've done so much traveling, it was hard for me to see the gap between the rich and the poor in this world, and I wanted to do something about it. Half of the world population is now living on less than $4 a day. So a lot of the resistance I get from wealthy people when I ask why they don't give more money to charity is they don't believe that their money is going to get to the poor people. They think it's going to end up in some CEO's pocket. So what I did is I spent many months of research identifying 24 highly regarded, honest, efficient, and credible organizations with open books, very transparent. 95 cents on every dollar ends up where you want it to go. And I put up a 3, 4 page report on each of those 24 causes that I will be promoting at the new website. So when people go there, it won't be a question of do I want to donate, but how many of these causes will I be donating to? Because each one is more amazing than the next.
Okay, Ronnie, turning to the market here. When you were on last time, you made some pretty bold calls in the market. Some of them have worked out pretty good. Some of them haven't exactly gone in your favor. So let's just go over there. Go over a few of them, and discuss your reasons for your position. If you are adding to the position or attempted taking profits in the position, because Amazon, Ronnie, that they can't argue with your call on that one.
Oh, yeah, well, what happened is I blacklisted 4 names. I blacklisted Philip Morris, Amazon, Apple, and Yahoo. And I blacklisted them on ethical and moral grounds, okay? Yahoo, Philip Morris, and Amazon, I also had a valuation issue with those 3 names. So it was not only an ethical and a moral downgrade, but it was also on valuation. Apple, which was also blacklisted on ethical and moral grounds, was not overvalued. That was more of a boycott type of recommendation I was making, as opposed to recommending that people short it in order to make money on it because it was overvalued. I didn't think it was overvalued. And I made that clear in my 44-page report that I put out back in February.
So, what is your take on the valuation now of Amazon? I mean, this thing's taken quite a haircut here from 380. Did trade under the $300 level to 280. Putting the ethical and moral issues aside, what's your take on Amazon?
Amazon is still overvalued. There's a reason, I don't understand why it went to $400 in the first place. Right now, it's at $300. It's still trading at 100 times estimates for next year, which is just ridiculous. In my opinion, a stock that's trading at $300 at this stage in its life cycle needs to be delivering at least $10 a share in earnings to justify a $300 stock price. And they're not even a third of the way there right now.
Do you have a
So
price target on the downside?
I expect this stock to hit $200 before we see 400 again.
Do you have a time frame on that?
No, there's no time frame. It took 15 years before the market realized that the stock was overvalued. So it could take another, God knows how many months or years before we see 200. But it's going there. There's no way you can justify this kind of market cap.
Okay, yeah, certainly not turning out the profits, and we're punished that for the last quarter. Okay, so let's move on to Philip Morris here, and correct me that if I'm wrong, but that was something else that you based it on a valuation as well as.
That was also on valuation, but obviously the valuation there wasn't as disturbing as it was on Amazon.
And when did you make this call on Philip Morris?
I downgraded Philip Morris 6th of January.
Okay, so you caught it. You caught a nice move there. I remember you were on the show, and I remember following you for a few days after that. Kind of came back on you a little bit. Got under 76, and now we're just about at that level that you shorted it at. Are you sticking to your guns on this one?
Absolutely. I looked really good on that call. Like you said, it dropped, I think, 10% within a few weeks from the time I put that call out. And now, a rising tide lifts all boats, or most boats. And what happened is the market is at an all-time high, and Philip went back up with the market. Anyone that missed the opportunity to short it in the mid-80s back in January is getting a second shot at it. And I think the next time it goes back down, it will not bounce back. I don't think the stock is worth more than $68, $70, $72. And if you sold those shares to me for $10, I wouldn't buy them from you because they have the blood on their hands of tens of millions of people. It's blood money. People should avoid these names at all costs. There's a limit. There has to be a level to which we will not stoop in order to make an extra buck. And that's the problem with extreme forms of capitalism that we have in this country. People don't mind that Apple is abusing their workers in Asia. They don't mind that Jeff Bezos is abusing his warehouse employees at Amazon. People don't care that Philip Morris is in an industry that's killing 5 million people every year. Enough is enough already. There are thousands of names to choose from. Why on earth would anyone want to support a company like this?
Okay, now turning to Apple here. This one you didn't do it on valuations, and this one is still it's had a real nice pop here after earnings. Are you changing your rating on this one anytime soon?
I don't think it's overvalued. I don't think it's undervalued. I would not pay $600 on it. Like I told you, I did blacklist this on ethical and moral grounds. It wasn't so much of a valuation issue here. I just find it nauseating that they could be sitting on $150 billion in cash, and their employees in Asia are making $2-3 an hour and committing suicide. The problem with Apple, I think, is the market cap. There is no precedent for a company with this kind of market cap, $500 billion. And I think that's what people should be looking at. I don't think any company is worth $500 billion. They had a chance to knock out Nokia, BlackBerry, Dell, Hewlett-Packard. They had a chance to knock all those people out. And had they knocked those people out, then maybe you could justify this kind of market cap. But all these competitors, Samsung, Apple, Hewlett-Packard, they're still around, and they took a hit, okay, but they bounced back, and the game is back on. And I think what's going to happen is that they will end up putting a dent in Apple over the next few years.
Okay. Have you been following the coal stocks at all? Colt's Luck here in the chat room. His friend John Powers at Stanford University announced that they're going to divest of the coal stocks, maybe perhaps protesting, the the mines and the health of the workers in their mines. Is this something that you're following?
I haven't looked at the coal industry in a long time. I did see a headline this morning that 200 people in Turkey died overnight in a mine explosion. I didn't. Was that a coal mine? I don't know if you saw the
No, I
headline.
did not see that headline,
Yeah,
but
there was a. Yeah, it's breaking news right now. There was a explosion in one of the mines in Turkey, and there were at least a couple of hundred deaths there. But no, I haven't looked at the coal industry. The problem with the stock market is that you can find something unethical or immoral in almost every industry and sector. I don't care if it's financials, healthcare, materials, discretionary, it's across the board. That's the problem in a capitalist society where there is pressure to turn a profit. When you are pressured to turn a profit, there is pressure to act in immoral and unethical ways. And, it would be a full-time job if I was going to blacklist every name that I saw something wrong with. But right now I'm just, flagging names that just jump out at me as being extreme examples of this. And I've never really taken a close look at the coal
okay.
industry. And it's probably because it's only 1 or 2% of the S&P 500, so I don't waste that much time on it.
Okay, well let's move to something that you're bullish, and I see on April 16th that you initiated coverage on Russia with a buy recommendation. We'll take a look at YNDX, QIWI, and MBT. But Ronnie, you're kind of going against the grain over there. There's a lot of political uncertainty, but do you think that Putin's going to navigate his country through this period?
Well, this is funny. I knew that when I was going out with this triple call on Russia on the 16th of April, and Yandex is up 6%, Kiwi is up 8%, MBT is up 13% for me, and this is in less than a month. I knew that the first question I was going to get is, Ronnie, what's going on here? You're blacklisting American names, and you're initiating coverage on Russian names. People don't understand why I did that. And my whole point is that I separated MBT, Kiwi, and Yandex from what Putin is doing, okay? The second issue here is that we are no better than Russia. And that's the problem with America. We think we're better than everyone else, and we're not. We're not better than Venezuela. We're not better than North Korea. We're not better than Cuba. We're not better than Syria. We're not better than Russia. We're not better than anyone, okay? We have 3 million children every year starving to death, and we're not doing anything about it. We're giving less than 2% of GDP in this country to charity. We allow people to make 1,000 times what their coworkers are making. Okay, we allow the CEO of Starbucks to sit on $2 billion, and he pays his coffee bean pickers in Central America $4 a day. Okay, we have sexually transmitted diseases in this country that are off the charts. 50% divorce rates, gang violence, 200 million guns floating around. I am nauseated by what I see in this country. So for us to criticize any other country, we need to focus on ourselves and get our own house in order. People in glass houses should not throw stones. And it is sickening for me to see what is going on in this country right now. The last country on earth that has a right to criticize anyone is the United States. We have a good country. We have a lot of hope here, a lot of good things going on. But this country is not about Greenwich, Connecticut, Beverly Hills, and East Hampton, New York. It's about places like Camden, New Jersey, where you have 3,000 abandoned buildings and not one movie theater. You have 200 street markets for drugs and two supermarkets. Okay, you have a murder rate that's 20 times the national average. You have kids 14 years old going to school with guns. Okay, so the whole argument of why is Russia okay and America is not okay is invalid as far as I'm concerned. Okay, and there's two sides to every story. I wrote a 20-page report on Russia. I put it out a couple of days ago, and anyone that wants to see that 20-page report, I am willing to give it to them for free. All they have to do is ask for it, and I go into great detail regarding what is going on between Ukraine and Russia, and I mention these three names that I think were oversold, and that's when I like to go into names, when there's been an overreaction by the market to bad news or some concerns.
Yeah, Ronnie, there might be a few people that might argue that the disparities in Russia could may overshadow some of the disparities in the United States as well. There's a very, very small part of the population that controls a majority of the wealth in Russia. So, I mean, that argument, I mean, I'm not, singing God Bless America here, but, I mean, the standard of living in the United States and compared to the average standard of living in Russia, I mean, there are a lot of things going over there as well.
Oh, and I go into that in great detail. But the bottom line is we have a lot of things wrong in this country. We need to fix our own country before we start passing judgment on other countries. Because the same way we look at them the way we do, they look at us and are in disbelief at some of the things that are going on in this country. So I'm not going to put the United States up on a pedestal. I'm not going to put Russia up on a pedestal. But we really have a lot of things to fix in the United States before we start criticizing other countries and their governments.
Okay, all right. We've had Ronnie Moas here of Standpoint Research giving us his take on the market from both a political and economic standpoint, as well as evaluations on some of these stocks. Ronnie, we enjoy your analysis, and we'd certainly like to have you on again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Ronnie Moas, Standpoint Research.